What's going on, guys? Sam Does Stuff here, back for another LEGO Star Wars video. And today we have some leaks and possibly the spark that will light the fire that will burn Slop Troopers down. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to get into it right now. The two LEGO Star Wars leaks that I'm talking about are set numbers 75454 Imperial Remnant AT-AT with INT-4 and set number 75453 Off-World Sandcrawler and Mudhorn. Looking at these sets, they're visibly really good, which we can't say for Star Wars since the Smart Play line. But before we dive deep into these sets, just looking at them can really tell a story of how good they are. The AT-AT retails for about $140, which is $20 cheaper than the 2020 AT-AT we got for the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. The Sandcrawler running up $60 more than the AT-AT at $200, still a very good deal. For reference, the 25th anniversary Star Destroyer we got was $160 compared to these two sets. Fares pretty well. This is a pretty decent size playset. So for the Sandcrawler to have 100 extra pieces and be $200 isn't the worst, but the AT-AT to have only 100 pieces less and be $20 cheaper is a very good price point. And we'll get into the price point of the AT-AT later, but I just wanted to compare the Star Destroyer, which is a very well priced set, to these sets that are also very fairly priced, except for the Sandcrawler that could be $10, $20, even $30 cheaper. Getting a closer look at the AT-AT, it has about 1,453 pieces and has 7 minifigures. 6 if you don't include the Baby Yoda, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to include it. I was wrong. The AT-AT is $160. I think I'm thinking of the Imperial Shuttle. That is $140. That comes out June 1st. I don't know how I got those mixed up, but $160 is still really good. I'm pretty sure it has the same amount of minifigs as the 2021. Might want to fact check that. But it's still a really good price point for a set that isn't downscaled at all. I've heard talks of the head being too small, but I think it looks really good. Yeah, it's not one-to-one to Empire, but then again, it's not supposed to be a one-to-one representation of it. Anyways, back to the minifigures. You have Grogu, Mandalorian, the Imperial Warlord, AT-AT Driver Remnant, 2 Snowtrooper Remnants, and then just a plain Stormtrooper that you get with every other set. I do want to point out that the snowtroopers without the cloth cama thing on their face look really good. It's a really nice helmet mold. Doesn't look terrible, unlike the slop troopers that we've been getting. Another plus is the Warlord looks exactly like he does in the movie, along with the snowtroopers are really accurate. You can say what you want about the Clone Tiny Tank. The Galactic Marines in that set are not accurate. They do not have waist capes, and there's a lot wrong with those figures. Still good figures, but not accurate compared to these snowtroopers that are super accurate. I don't know anything I would change, maybe arm printing, but there's not really much you can print on that. Looking at the AT-AT Driver Remnant, this is a really nice figure. Matches the movie to a T. I love that they changed this under print to gray instead of the sand blue they've been doing. It's super accurate to the movie, which is really good. I can't remember if the sand blue figure is accurate for Empire, but I don't remember it being that in the movie. And then, of course, you get your standard Mandalorian and Grogu that come in pretty much every single Mando set. Also included in this AT-AT set is the little ship that the Imperial Warlord flies out of in the movie. I thought it was an AT-ST when I first looked at it, and then it grew wings and flew out. I don't remember seeing this in Star Wars. I think it's its first on-screen appearance. I think it's been in art before, concept art, but it's never been put onto screen. I feel like I would remember something like this. And judging by how Mando takes place before the sequels, it isn't any sequel trash that we have just overlooked. It's a cool little ship. This reminds me of a microfighter because he's sticking out of the top. I don't know if he's going to be able to fit inside. It looks like the front swings open with those gold hinge pieces, but it looks big enough to fit one minifig, maybe even 2. But I can see them not being able to do that because you have to fit it into the AT-AT. And to my knowledge, this version of the AT-AT is 2 studs smaller than the previous AT-AT from the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. Looking at the back of the box, we could see some of the dark gray integrated into this set. Adds a little bit of color. It's accurate to the movie. Unlike Empire, they are not all gray on this snow planet, unlike Hoth. So the dark gray actually is accurate to the movie. The head is also different than Empire, especially that front piece being a sticker. Empire is brick built. The Snowspeeder is also downsized to fit into the back of the actual AT-AT, as you can see in the picture in the top right corner. We also get a tiny glimpse of the inside of the AT-AT interior. It's nothing special. You could fit a couple of figures in there, not much else. Getting into the Sandcrawler, this set particularly was not on my list to buy when it was rumored, but now that I can actually see it, it might be a day one pickup. Looking at the set, it has 1,683 pieces, roughly 100 more than the Star Destroyer that I brought up earlier. The one thing I've seen people complaining about with this set is that it is gray, but if you recall back to The Mandalorian Season 1, which is what this vehicle is based off of, it is very gray in that scene. The lighting is a little weird on it, but you don't see as much brown as you do gray. Some of the brown is still protruding from the gray, but it is mostly gray in that scene from The Mandalorian, which is what the set is based off of. So in my eyes, for once, Lego Star Wars is being accurate. So this set, to me, is super good. I would personally want an original trilogy Sandcrawler that we haven't gotten in over 10 years because I'm an original trilogy purist. Probably one of the reasons I like Mando so much because it takes place just after Empire and Return of the Jedi. But looking at this set, it's a really good play set. I think the only downside to this is it is 2 studs shorter on the width, but I think it is the same height, if not just shorter than the older one from the original trilogy. I believe that one is from 2012. I will fact check that. Probably not. Taking a closer look at the actual build of the Sandcrawler, it's very repetitive to the older ones. You have that gold light windscreen piece. The canvases on top are new, though. They do detach for when it is moving. I don't think they are on there in the show. I haven't watched Mando Season 1 in a while, but they could be on there. Looking at the interior, you get a tiny little detailed interior. That is one of the biggest things with Lego Star Wars sets lately that just hasn't been hitting. The Millennium Falcon is a perfect example. The Smart Play one, granted, is not designed to be a general play set, has a terrible interior, where the 2019 one, from Rise of Skywalker, has a great interior and has details from the Falcon, where Lego could have just made up this Jawa interior for the Sandcrawler, but either way, it's very like Lego-esque of like 2014 to 2017, where you get some little Easter eggs to Star Wars. You have the eggs that Grogu eats. You have the rock that they crack open. You have some droids, just like we see in A New Hope when R2-D2 and C-3PO are captured. And you have a little generator. Nothing crazy, just some details. You could fit some figures in there, especially for little kids. I used to love stuffing minifigs into spaceships and cars and whatnot, so this will probably be popular with younger kids. Now, if we take a closer look at the minifigures, that is really where this set really defines itself. Obviously, you get your generic Grogu. We get 3 off-world Jawas. We get Kuiil, which is the same Kuiil from the UCS Razor Crest that a ton of people wanted in a cheaper set. And this is the closest thing we're probably going to get. Kuiil being a more niche character to Mandalorian, dying in the first season. We haven't seen him, other than the UCS Razor Crest, since Mando came out in 2019. So getting, let alone a Season 1 set in 2026, is super good. But to get a character like Kuiil that doesn't show up in any other Star Wars media is great, especially in a cheaper set, and for it being the same figure from the UCS Razor Crest. Speaking of the UCS Razor Crest, the Mandalorian is the same exact figure from the UCS Razor Crest, except it has mud on him, because in the scene from Mando Season 1, he is fighting the Mudhorn, which we will get to in a minute. Taking a closer look at that Mandalorian figure, I think Lego Star Wars minifigures are going in a good direction, especially with the Zeb that we got in the new Razor Crest having, first, the first dual molded arms on a Star Wars figure, and second dual molded legs, all on the same figure. And Zeb has colored eyes, which Lego Star Wars has not been giving beings with colored eyes pupils like Emperor Palpatine or Darth Maul. So Zeb getting one pupils in his eyes, dual molded arms, and dual molded legs makes Zeb a prime contender, if not the best minifigure for Lego Star Wars of the year, just because they broke their own rule of consistency by giving him pupils, gave him dual molded arms, something we haven't seen in Star Wars in the 26 years it's been around, and gave him dual molded legs that just make the figure look so good. And I feel like we get that same energy with the Mandalorian. Yes, we don't get dual molded legs. Yes, we don't get dual molded arms. It is fine. I think it could have used more mud though, because Mando does get covered in the scene. But I really think minifigures are going in a better direction, especially how we have Queel back. A bunch of the Mando figures weren't bad either. We have the Babu Frick species that I can't remember. I think they're called the Anzellans or something. You have the new Baby Yoda. You have the Rebel pilots from the X-Wing. And then I'm pretty sure the Remnant Range Trooper from Rogue One is also a really good figure. Really good figures coming out of Star Wars right now, which is one of the places where the theme has been lacking so much, especially with clone troopers. If you want to see me make a clone trooper video on how they've been ruined the last 4 years, comment down below what your favorite clone trooper faction is, and I will make that video. Anyways, let's get back to these leaks and what it could mean for Lego Star Wars. Taking a closer look at the build of the Mudhorn, I do miss when we got molded Star Wars beings like the Dewback in New Hope. I think we also had a canceled the lizard thing that Obi-Wan Kenobi rides on in Revenge of the Sith, and the spider thing from Geonosis. I know I'm botching these names, but we used to get a ton of Star Wars molded animals, and it's not like Lego doesn't do this anymore because they do it with Lego Jurassic World. So I don't see why Star Wars can't get it when they were doing it in 1999, but they won't do it now in 2026. What do I think these two summer 2026 sets mean for the future of Star Wars? I think after the absolute disaster that was Smart Play, let alone the pricing, the designs of the sets, the smart figures alone having trash cans on them, we are going in a general direction where Star Wars needs to be, and that is releasing good sets with good minifigs, mixing new minifigs with reused minifigs, and just not pricing the crap out of these sets to where younger kids can't get them and adults don't want to buy them because you're charging $250 for play sets. The Clone Turbo Tank blowing up in Lego's face is the biggest get back I've ever seen on a big company, and that includes the $200,000 scandal going on with bricks and minifigs right now. The Turbo Tank just being a Clone Wars set, and I don't know if this is like something that Lego does at their meetings, but they inflate the Clone Trooper sets a lot, making the Clone Trooper Battle Pack from last year $45 when all the other battle packs are only $20 to $22. $22 for a battle pack. Crazy anyway. But just inflating the Clone Wars sets just doesn't seem right to me. Where you have the MTT and the Turbo Tank being $160. You have the $45 battle pack. You have the $30 combo battle pack that only comes with 4 clones and you get a couple of droids. The inflation on Clone Wars sets alone is terrible, but Star Wars as a whole has just gotten out of hand. And I really feel like they're starting to fix that. I'm hoping the back end of 2026 has a lot of good Star Wars sets on the way, along with the rest of the summer sets. I think there's 2 more with the Bespin Duel, and I believe it was Bounty Hunter Pursuit or Ewok Village, one of the 2. There's a couple more Star Wars sets coming out in the summer, but there are high hopes for not just the end of 2026, but the continuation into 2027 and possibly 2028. Especially with the 50th anniversary of Star Wars as a whole coming, we can expect at least 1, 2, maybe even 3, hopefully like the 25th anniversary line worth of sets, just based around Star Wars as a whole, to celebrate just Star Wars existing for 50 years, because that is a really big milestone, especially for a franchise that is still around after 50 years and is still popular enough to have all these toys made and to still have movies breaking the box office in 2026, 50 years after the original movie was released. If you want to see more Lego Star Wars videos or Lego videos in general, comment down below the videos you want to see me make, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.